X, and she's coming for Jay-Z. So in a series of tweets, Nicki Minaj is claiming that Jay-Z owes her 100 to 200 million so far. She tweeted, Jay-Z, call me to settle the karmic debt. It's only collecting more interest. You still in my top 5 though. Let's get it. N-word. And anyone still calling him whole will answer to God for the blasphemy. And she is referring to, I believe, because then she says more tweets. When Tidal, originally when Jay-Z did the deal with Tidal, it was a partnership. You know, he gave artists some ownership, including J. Cole, Nicki Minaj, Rihanna. And then when
Nicki Minaj just threw gasoline on the fire of a hip-hop drama. She's claiming Jay-Z owes her not a few million, but $200 million. Let that number sink in. 200 million. That's the kind of money that could buy entire neighborhoods in Brooklyn, bankroll a Super Bowl halftime show, or change the lives of her Barbs forever. And according to Nicki, that money is hers, not Jay-Z's. This is more than a casual jab on social media. It's a serious claim tied to business, contracts, and ownership. At the center of it all is Tidal, the music streaming service that Jay-Z relaunched back in 2015 as a revolutionary platform for artists. The idea was simple. Musicians should have more control over how their work is distributed and more money from the profits. To back that up, Jay-Z gave a handful of artists equity in the company. Nicki Minaj was one of those artists. When Tidal was eventually sold to Square in 2021, now known as Block, the company owned by Jack Dorsey, it was celebrated as a billion-dollar move. Jay-Z walked away with a massive payday, and the expectation was that every stakeholder would see a huge return too. But Nicki says that didn't happen. Instead, she claims she was offered a measly $1 million. In her words, that's not just unfair, it's insulting. She says her true share should have been worth hundreds of millions. Nicki didn't whisper this behind closed doors. She took it straight to the public. Calling it karmic debt makes it sound less like a lawsuit and more like universal justice. Like Jay-Z can't escape what he owes no matter how powerful he is. And Nicki wasn't just talking about herself, she connected this alleged debt to her fans. She told them that if she got the money Jay-Z owes, she'd put it toward her Student of the Game charity, helping with tuition, student loans, and school expenses. That promise makes the claim even bolder. She's not just saying she's owed money, she's saying she wants to redistribute it to the people who've supported her since day one. So let's break this down. How could Nicki Minaj's $200 million claim even be possible? When Jay-Z bought Tidal, he offered shares to several artists: Beyonce, Kanye West, Rihanna, Madonna, Alicia Keys, and Nicki Minaj, among others. These artists were introduced as co-owners, which sounded glamorous and empowering. But co-ownership doesn't always mean equal ownership. Contracts might have clauses, percentages, or restrictions. When the platform sold, payouts depended on how those shares were structured. If Nicki was truly given a significant stake and then only paid a fraction of its value, her anger makes sense. The company reportedly sold for nearly $300 million in 2021, with Jay-Z receiving over $297 million in cash and stock. If Nicki's stake was undervalued, her accusation points to more than a financial slight. It suggests manipulation or shady accounting in the deal. That's why she's calling out not just the numbers, but the principle behind them. Now, here's where things get even juicier. Jay-Z isn't standing on untouchable ground right now. Beyond Nicki's accusations, he's already facing other issues. Over the past few years, Roc Nation, his entertainment company, has been pulled into lawsuits tied to sports contracts, business disputes, and management controversies. There have been whispers about mishandled deals, artists feeling trapped in contracts, and partners who believe they didn't get their fair cut. Some of these cases have ended quietly, but others are still ongoing. Add to that the constant scrutiny of Jay-Z's financial empire. From alcohol brands to sports management to real estate, his portfolio is massive. But massive portfolios come with massive liabilities. Every lawsuit, every disgruntled partner, every contract dispute chips away at the image of flawless business success. So when Nicki Minaj, one of the most influential female rappers alive, comes forward with a $200 million claim, it doesn't look like an isolated feud. It looks like another crack in the empire. And Nicki knows exactly what she's doing. She anticipated the criticism right away. As soon as she went public with her claim, people started speculating. Was she broke? Was she desperate? Was this a stunt to hype up new music? Nicki clapped back hard. She reminded everyone that she's financially secure. She owns properties. She's invested wisely. She's still touring, still dropping music, and still raking in millions. She even bragged that if she wanted $20 to $30 million tomorrow, all she'd have to do is drop an album or hit the road. This wasn't about desperation, she insisted. It's about principle. It's about fairness. It's about not letting anyone, even Jay-Z, erase what she's owed. And when you think about Nicki's career, the battles she's fought, the obstacles she's overcome, it makes sense that she'd take this fight public. She's never been one to bite her tongue or play quiet behind the scenes. If she feels wronged, she's going to speak up. Now, let's imagine the possible outcomes here. On one hand, Jay-Z could ignore her completely. He could stay silent, let the story fade, and move on. That's a power move. The billionaire who doesn't need to respond. But silence has risks. If Nicki backs her claim with receipts, staying quiet could make him look guilty. On the other hand, Jay's could fire back with his own version of events. He could present contracts, documents, or statements showing Nicki was paid fairly. That would paint her as exaggerating or misinformed. But taking that route would drag the story out longer, pulling more eyes onto Tidal's messy financial history. There's also the possibility of settlement. If Jay-Z thinks Nicki has even a shred of legal ground to stand on, he might choose to handle it privately with a payout, just to avoid a drawn-out spectacle. But would Nicki take that? She's already put the claim in public, already connected it to her fans. Accepting hush money could contradict her bold stance. Then there's the nuclear option, lawsuits. If Nicki decides to lawyer up and formally sue Jay-Z or Roc Nation, this could turn into one of the most high-profile music industry battles in years. Imagine depositions, contracts being revealed, other artists being questioned about their Tidal payouts. It would shine a light on the inner workings of a deal that was always presented as groundbreaking for artists. The industry might never look the same. Beyond the legal angles, there's the cultural weight of this story. Nicki Minaj has always positioned herself as someone fighting not just for herself, but for women in rap, for independent artists, for the underdogs. By accusing Jay-Z, one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop and business, she's reinforcing that image. At the same time, Jay-Z's legacy is built on being the ultimate hustler turned mogul, the guy who outsmarted the industry, built empires, and became untouchable. If Nicki's claim gains traction, it chips away at that myth. It suggests that the empire was built, at least partly, by shortchanging the very artists he claimed to empower. That's why this isn't just about $200 million. It's about credibility, reputation, and legacy. Let's also talk timing. Nicki went public in 2025, years after the Tidal sale. Why now? Timing in the music industry is rarely random. She has new projects, a tour schedule, and a fan base hungry for her next move. Calling out Jay-Z not only highlights her as a fearless truth teller, it keeps her name dominating headlines. And whether you see that as strategic or genuine, it works. The whole world is talking. So where does this go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Or maybe the $200 million question. Jay-Z is known for playing the long game. He rarely reacts impulsively. He's calculated, measured, always looking at the bigger picture. If he chooses to address Nicki's claim, it'll be on his terms, and it'll be crafted to protect his empire. But ignoring Nicki is risky. She's relentless, she has receipts, and she has an army of fans ready to amplify her every word. What's certain is that this isn't just a spat between two celebrities. This is a fight about ownership, money, and the future of how artists are treated in the music business. If Nicki presses forward, she could open the door for other artists to re-examine their own deals with Tidal or even Roc Nation, and that could trigger a ripple effect Jay-Z definitely doesn't want. For now, we're left with Nicki's bold accusation echoing across the internet. Jay-Z owes her $200 million. Whether it ends in silence, settlement, or a scorched earth legal battle, one thing's guaranteed: this story is far from over. So what do you think? Is Nicki exposing a major injustice, or is this just another chapter in the endless saga of hip-hop power plays? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and make sure you're subscribed. Because if this battle heats up any further, you'll want front row seats to the drama.